Welcome to episode 3 of the Game Plan Online. My name is Nick Dillon, my regular panellist Paul Mitchell to the left of me, and with us today is our special guest, former Renmark and Paringa A-grade coach Brett Blackwell. So welcome, Blackers.
Thank you.
How you going?
Good on you.
Great to have you on here, mate. Firstly, mate, just tell us a little bit about what your involvement in football is now, because I understand you're not necessarily coaching up in the senior ranks, it's more the juniors now.
Yeah, I've taken a step back, obviously, with I've done the senior thing, and now it's time to give back a little bit more to the kids again. I've got a young lad in the under 13s playing, so I always said when he gets to sort of that age group that I'd step back from doing that and then start again with another 5-year-old child. So it's going back to the tiny tots, and I've got, I think, about 60 kids around 5 years old that we're managing at the moment. So it's, it is pretty full on, but it's really, really rewarding as well. So I'll start the journey again there. So that, and with the brother moving up to the region and playing football, it's also good to have that tie in with the A grade still at Renmark, just to watch him play.
So you ever deliver any of those memorable Blackers pre-game speeches to the young ones?
Yeah, well, it's the parents obviously they like a bit more firmness with the youngsters. I think they don't. Parents may struggle a little bit at home to get the kids to respond. So it's good to have probably a powerful voice behind the kids in making sure they're talking and doing the right things. So because I have spent 6 years in the sort of Auskick program up to the under 11s, to go back again and start it, it's sort of like it's pretty fresh still. So it's good to carry on with those sort of things.
Yeah, sure.
Auskick must be more important now than ever with soccer emerging across Australia. Junior numbers we hear about all the time and the success of the Socceroos. So I guess Auskick must be even more important now than ever.
Yeah, it is, and especially with the Renmark Centre, because I think 6 years ago we had about 50 registrations. Now we're up around 120, and I think we're one of the best country centres in rural South Australia. So it's hats off to the people involved. Sally Cromer, who's just done a behind the scenes marvellous job in setting things up, and then obviously to get the A grade, send a couple of blokes out there to on each Saturday morning and the kids love seeing that. Trevor Thorpe's had a big lot to do with the youngsters in the Auskick program, and always coming out. He just never says no, that guy. So it's fantastic to have him. Then with also a lot of parents' help and stuff, it's a well coordinated group, and I think that's why our centre's recognised as one of the best getting around.
Good on you. Now, obviously, you've had time coaching at both Riverland level, A grade level, and independent A grade level.
Yep.
Tell us a bit about your time. We'll start with Renmark. Tell us a bit about your time at Renmark and what your thoughts were on how the team went, and could the team have possibly gone further, and would you have liked to have gone further with the team?
I would like to have gone further with the team. Yeah, I'd still like to be coaching them now. I was replaced. It was never something I stepped down from doing. So it was a passion to get to that job. Probably the timing wasn't right. I did take Renmark on. I think average goal 22 goal loss was the average for the 2010 season. So to say I took on sort of a train wreck, wouldn't be too far out of the truth. There was a lot of players which really just didn't know how to win. They lost that vibe. There's 15 to 17 odd players, I think you remember back then, that left the club after the premiership. So then to rebuild and to try to get some structure happening again, get a proper game plan happening, was something that was going to take time. Unfortunately, I didn't get the time I needed, but I do think that if things had been just a little bit different, a couple of missed goals. I think Big Burgers missed one in the goal square against Loxton North in the last game of the year, which would have given us a finals berth. If we had played finals, I could have still been coaching. So there's little factors that have contributed to me not coaching. But I still want to see the guys succeed. It's great to see the young ones. The Trevor Thorpes of the world, and then the Russell Mendes and stuff. I've coached them kids from under 13s back years ago. So it's great to just see that they're the leaders of the club. And there's no ill feeling. I don't always want to see Renmark keep improving. Maybe I was a couple of years too early on getting the job. I think that if I took them on maybe a little bit down the track once we got a bit more stable, then I could have been more long term. But time has it that I finished up then, and so I was saying to Mitch just a bit earlier, you soon find the time to fit in other things, and you just get back into the kids and start all over again.
Would you go back to coaching senior footy again, either at A grade level, or would you ever coach at independent level again, now that you've done A grade?
I probably wouldn't coach at independent level again, only mainly due to the junior issues and that are going on. It was really, passionate in the junior level as much as it was in the seniors, and it was more of a vibe when you got to the games, knowing that there was a lot of people already in the gate when the A grade came. It was sort of, Pringle was fantastic because it gave me the leapfrog to start coaching, and then I went back to try and play again at Renmark. The body fell apart, and then Alan Pringle gave me another opportunity. So I feel like I've sort of completed that sort of side of it, a couple of premierships, and we played in 3, and I think I coached for 5 years in total over 2 separate occasions. So with that and the travel, and also with young kids coming through the under 13s and then the 15s and so on and so forth, it just wouldn't allow me to go back to independent level. But at RFL level, I'd never say never. I'm not 40 yet, so I think once you get that bit of balance going, and the family's all good and the kids are succeeding, well then I'm going to have plenty of time to be able to put my hand up for a coaching role.
Good on you.
Would that be restricted to Renmark, or would you look at?
No, definitely not restricted to Renmark at all. It'd have to be something that I really look at Loxton North as one of those clubs which is, there you go, there's your stability, there's a 5 or 6 year coach there, they've believed in him, they keep running the juniors through, they play, and they get the rewards and they get the respect. So I think a club culture like that is something that you'd have to really look at seriously if you wanted to coach. You'd have to have the backing. Renmark was they say that I had 2 years, but really you have 1 and 1. So when things aren't going right, you're really walking on a bit of eggshells after 1 year. So you sort of think, well, hang on, I've got to change my own beliefs, my own style of football that I want these guys to play, to then, not believe in second guessing yourself. And when you start second guessing yourself because you're worried about your contract, well, then you're not doing your job properly.
Yeah, fair enough. Just on a different topic, we spoke about earlier, Justin Leppich, obviously your first cousin up there coaching the Lions, which is my team, and he's been in the news for all the wrong reasons over the past couple of weeks. Do you know much about what's going on up there with Brisbane and struggling, and then obviously what happened this week?
No, I don't. I do speak to him a little bit. It's hard because he's so limited to what he can even say on the phone. I mean, even for my dream team, try and get if Rockcliffe's really in, or whether that's just a bluff. A couple of weeks ago was hard enough to try and get out. Well, he's named in capital letters. That's all he can really give me. But as far as his performance, he's so passionate about the job that, and he doesn't fault from the way he likes it. Yeah. I think the latest news that's coming up, he probably shouldn't have apologised. I don't think.
It's blown out of proportion.
Yeah, and that player in mention, young Zach O'Brien, he's got ties with Adam the Cairo up in Renmark. So I've even found out through him that they even think it's been blown out, and he's very good mates with Zach. So if Justin puts that culture through the side that, hey, we can't have that, we can't stand for that, then same deal. He's ticking the boxes that he needs to tick as far as staying true to himself. So
sometimes the media, and I watched Footy Classified last night, sometimes it's like the media have never actually been in a footy environment before, in a footy club. I mean, things happen in footy clubs. Coaches do things and they treat blokes differently as you have to do.
Yeah.
And I just get the feeling that sometimes some of these stories just get blown way out of the water, and for what happens in a club, it'll be like, that happened last week, now we move on to this week.
It was the Sam Fisher one a few years ago, wasn't there, with the Footy Show? They did the players' review, and it was a bit raunchy, and all of a sudden, everyone's up in arms about it. This has been happening for years.
And there's people that are paid to live off footy. They're like parasites, and they have to look for every little what they think is an issue, and really, some of this stuff we see in the media these days is just
It is
rubbish, and I'm sure
Yeah,
Justin would feel the same.
he does. And I mean, you watch different shows. I watched AFL 360 last night, and then watched the classifieds, and
Big difference.
there was. I mean, they played Justin's footage with him live, saying, you probably shouldn't have grabbed the player. Very supportive of how Justin were handling it. Then you go over to the classifieds, but the footage they were showing while Justin was doing that was all him, his anger in the coach's box. So they're sort of trying to fuel the fire with saying, well, maybe he's one of those rough, red-headed people that just lose his temper all the time like that. But he's got a good rapport with the players. But you can't just be a mate. You've got to be a boss, and you've got to. It's his
And they need
livelihood.
one at the moment.
They do,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, sure. Well, we'll get into this week's games. We'll start off with the three Riverland games, and first one's Berry versus Wakery, and obviously Berry travelling along very nicely at the moment. 3 wins from 3 matches. Copped an injury to young Brody Thompson on the weekend, young 16-year-old who tore the muscle off his hip. Apparently, he's going to be out for a number of weeks. So, best wishes to Brody. And Zach Ongley's another one out, but they're bringing Brad Dolling, Jamie Milburn's a big in as well, and Jeff Hart and Kane Pomeroy come in. So Kane will help out in the ruck there, I think. To Wakery, they've got we're not sure of their ins and outs yet this week, but Nelson Peters and Aaron Thompson are possible ins, and they obviously missed Nelson Peters last week against Loxton. Needed just those smarts around goals, I think, and it's going to be a ripping game.
Yeah, who do you tip in this one? Berry, the surprise packets, and Wakery, the reigning champs. And toss of the coin job. And Berry have gone pretty well against Wakery at league headquarters, even when they've been struggling. So they'd be pretty confident, I would think.
Yeah, I think Berry to win. What about yourself, Mitch?
I reckon. The form line would suggest Berry. Yeah, the form line would suggest Berry. Blackus?
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd have to say Berry. I think Saf's in some good form, and they're the only side I haven't watched this year, obviously, because Renmark haven't played them yet. But they're making every post a winner. They must be running really well. And the same thing with Lefty in his third year. He's probably just got the chart. They're all ready to play, and they're all running. They're all playing well for him.
Sure. So a clean sweep of Berry, and who would have thought that? 4 or 5 years ago,
exactly.
all three of us. Yeah. Okay, second game, another really interesting game. We've got Loxton at home to Renmark. At home, that's right, isn't it, Nick? Yep. Not sure about the Loxton ins and outs, but we understand Mitch Fazekas and maybe Pat Portalisi might be back in.
Back from the mines.
And outs, of course, we're not sure. Renmark, now they ran the wrong way, Nick, I reckon. That should be
they are.
outs.
So, yeah.
So outs, we had Trevor Thorpe, had that injury last week.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Rowe as well.
Yeah.
And is that Hind, is it? Bradley
Hind, yeah.
Bradley Hind, yeah. And losing Thorpe and Rowe, of course, they're massive losses.
Yeah.
Thorpe's been outstanding. And ins from this would be Rosler, Blight, Strongman and Hayward.
Yep.
So some big holes for Renmark to cover there, and of course they had that nightmare third quarter when they conceded 13 goals last week against Barmer. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Pretty brutal.
It was pretty brutal, and I mean to be just so close at half time.
Yeah.
There were a couple of big losses in Scunny and Thorpe there to not help, but but Barmer couldn't miss. They everything they did worked. In the second quarter, they really pushed back a lot on Renmark to not allow them to score heavily with the wind that was down there, and then the floodgates just opened and. Dingo even gave him a bit of a spray at 3/4 time, which is 13 goals to not much. I don't know why, but he gave him a good crack.
Yeah.
So who's our tips in that game, fellas?
I think Loxton with the Thorpe and Jared Rowe out. They're too big into two best midfielders. So I think Loxton will win comfortably.
Yeah, I'll go with Loxton, looking for 2 in a row.
Yeah, I'd like to think Jared Rowe will probably play. He'll probably line up.
Yep.
Good to have Tim Blight. It'll be for his first game of the season back in, which is a bigger forward, or if he has to go to defence, is going to be handy for Renmark.
Definitely.
They could mix it with them, but I'd probably have to lean towards Loxton myself.
Yeah, no worries. Last game of the Riverland matches, Barmer Monash and Loxton North. Now, obviously, the Roos in terrific form last week with their big win over Renmark, and looking like getting Jake Smith back in, which is a huge in for them in the midfield. And Chad Hamilton and Jake Schwartfeger are also chances of coming back in. For Loxton North, Anton Cooks over his back complaint, so he'll be straight back in. But at the expense of Matt Wolford, who's the big recruit over the off season. He's potentially just out for the 1 week, I think, unavailable. So we've got young Brad Beswick coming in for his first game for Loxton North. So congratulations to Brad. What do you boys think about this one?
Blackers?
Oh, I reckon it's going to be tight contest. I don't think Barmer are a 6 to 10 goals better side than Loxton North. I probably might even go Loxton North just because of because Barmer may have just got a little bit ahead of themselves last week. Yep.
Fair enough.
Had some good battles over the last couple of years, haven't they? Barmer and Monash and Loxton North, including last year. Look, I think I'll tip Barmer and Monash in a really tight game.
Yeah, I'm going to go Loxton North in a tight game. I think North, I rate North pretty highly, and Cookie coming back in really strengthens them up, and they need a big tool to sort of match with the big guys that Barmer have got and able to push forward as well. So, I think North just.
Okay, we'll move on quickly, run through the 3 independent games this week. Good to have 3 games this week. We've got reigning premiers Marook Kingston at home to Cobby. Never any love lost when we played Cobby when I was involved with Marook years ago, but I'm sure they're best of mates now. In for Marook, we've got Matty Morrell, huge in, Ben Will and Craig Britton. You don't remember Britters from your Barmer days. And out, Jimmy Vlasopoulos, Trav Voigt, Robbie Vag and Terry Packer. So some big ins but some big outs as well. Yeah,
big outs.
Cobby in, Jason Goodfellow. Brad Thompson's a good in, that's for sure. Darren Noy and Derek Clark. And out we've got Anthony Smith, Thomas Wiseman, Chris Garafoulis and Ivan Maynard. So tips here, look, Marook's still looking for their first win, so I'm going to go for the Warriors to open their account there.
Yeah, I've seen the Warriors once this year, and they were severely undermanned that day, but they've still got some good talent there. I think they'll win comfortably over Cobby.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Marook too. Yeah, 4 or 5 goals.
Yep. No worries. Next game is Brownswell versus Ramco, the top of the table clash, which is going to be huge for both clubs. Obviously, wouldn't have played in a top of the table clash for a long time. So for the Bombers, possible wins of Mark McConnell and Nigel Fegert, who are both back from the mines potentially.
Handy ins.
Very handy, especially Mark. He was BIG in their first game. I think kicked a few goals, so it's a big in. And for Ramco, saw them firsthand last week. They were exceptional. They set up really well. They're well structured. Their coach has got them running well, and they've got Brenton Reedy out, who's a big out, but they've also got Max Baddock coming into the side. So he'll be a little bit underdone, but he'll be a good in for him. So.
Tips?
I think Brownswell. Yeah. I think they were pretty clean when I saw them, and our game was a bit scrappy last week, and I think Brownswell should be able to knock them off.
Brownswell for me too.
Yep, it's a trifecta.
We're in a row. Beautiful. And then
the last game, we've got Wonka at home to Paringa. Ins for Wonka include Roger Taylor, Liam and Nathan Henschke, and Big Link Evans, and out Alex Rapisada and Dale Bewley. And for Paringa, ins medalist Andrew Lloyd, Pete Siddle from Renmark, Mick Miller and Adam Forbes. And Nick, can you pronounce his name?
Yeah, Daniel Dimitrovic.
Dimmer. Michael Dootson, is it?
Yep.
And Dwayne Angel. So look, this looms as another really tight game. Wonka are still looking for their first win.
Yep.
And Paringa coming off a loss last week to Ramco, probably an unexpected loss.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be keen to get back on the board. Look, even though it's at Wonka, I just get the feeling that maybe they might take a while to get their act together this season, Wonka. So I'm going to tip your mob. Nick, going to go with the Swans this week.
No worries.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go with Paringa this week. I think with Lloydie back in, there's no doubt there's the engine room. Dimmer back in the side, that's good.
Yeah,
good to see.
Come back for a game.
Blast from the past.
Hopefully get a few more out of him.
And Peter Siddle, hopefully, he can. The more games he plays before, the better he's going to get. So
yeah, they're probably our 2 best midfielders coming back in. So hopefully it makes a difference.
Yeah, 10 goals, Dylan.
That'd be
A couple
nice.
of Swans flag coaches next to me. I couldn't really tip anyone else.
That's right, exactly.
Much choice.
No worries. Well, that's it from us this week. Thanks for joining us, and tune in next week for episode 5 of Game Plan Online. Thanks.
Chewy free.
Thanks, Blackers.
Thank you.
Chewy free.
I believe in miracles. Where you from? You sexy thing, you.